This video will show you how to do the digital Google Sheets graph of this information here for the reaction rate versus the amount of reactant. Now we've got this table here in our document, so what we need to do though before we can go to Google Sheets is we need to make sure we've got all the information in here that we need. So you can see here that there are some empty brackets. So you need to write here what you measured the amount of hydrochloric acid in. So that is millilitres. I might need to format it so that it all fits in one spot. And then we also need to say the time taken to react, what that was. So that was measured in seconds. Okay. From there we can copy this information. Remember, your results might be different to mine, that's completely fine. And then we're going to go File, New, Spreadsheet. Once we're in here, we're going to call it something so that we remember what it is. Even though you're going to copy your graph through to your original report document, you also need to keep this just in case something happens, and we need to have a look at it too. So we will call it, once it lets me, just see what you think. That's better. Reaction rate versus amount of reactant. Okay, in here we're going to paste our information by going Control V. What you can do now is adjust these so that they fit, and then we're going to calculate our averages. This information here isn't part of our average, so we have to be careful not to include it. In your average box, if you write equals average, and then open bracket, highlight the information you want, close bracket, and then press enter, a number will appear. If you click on this button here and pull down, then it's going to work out average for all the other boxes. You can see here that some of these numbers are to a lot of decimal places. We don't want that, so we're just going to change it. We're going to round them up or down as necessary. So this one here can be rounded down to 57, and this one can be rounded down to 26. Excellent. Okay, what we now need to do is take this information here. Oops, we don't want to strike through this information here, and we're going to also take this information here, and we're going to put that into a new table so that we can create a graph. So if we write here amount of hydrochloric acid, that is measured in millilitres, and we'll put here the average time taken. And what was it the average time taken for? Well, to find that out, we can go back to here and check. So the bubble column was passing the 7 centimetre mark, so it is, and recording the times taken, so it was the time taken for the bubbles to pass the 7 centimetre mark. So average time taken for bubbles to reach 7 centimetre mark, and that was measured in seconds. Okay. Now we're going to take this information. We don't want to put the millilitres after every single one, because if we do, our graph isn't going to recognise it, so we'll just put the numbers 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, in here, the average time for the 5 ml one was 57 seconds. Average time for the 10 ml one was 48 seconds. Average time for the 15 ml one was 26 seconds. And the average time for the last one, the 20 ml, was 27 seconds. We're then going to highlight this information and go Insert, Chart. Now we need to check first of all that the axes labels are correct. So the amount of hydrochloric acid, that was our independent variable. So that was the thing that we were in control of, we were changing it. So that has to be along the bottom. So that's correct so far. The dependent variable was the thing we're measuring. So that was the average time taken for the bubbles to reach the 7 centimetre mark, and it was measured in seconds. That's what we measured, so that goes on the vertical axis because that was our dependent variable. So that looks good so far. We're just going to change the chart type though to a line graph because that's more accurate for this experiment. So line graph here, and then we're going to customize that and change our title slightly. So average time taken for bubbles to reach 7 centimetre mark in seconds with different amounts of hydrochloric acid. That looks good to me. We'll click insert, and here is our graph. So we're now going to copy that graph by going Control C and going back to our report. In our report we want to put our graph here where this table is, so we need to get rid of it. So we right click on that and go delete table. That gets rid of it, and now we can put our graph there. So if you go Control V, and we'll ask you if you want to link to the spreadsheet. You do, because you want your graph to pop up. So if it's in the link button, then you can click paste, and there goes your graph. Now there's one last bit we have to add, and that is the averages. So the averages, we calculated them over here, so we'll just add those in. So you can type them in yourself, or you can copy them from here. Control C, go back, click in the top box, Control V. And it does make them a funny colour, but it doesn't really matter too much. So you can check back over here to make sure that they were correct. Yes, they match up. That's good.